thank the Parnes HaShana. Shpach is sponsoring the Shiur, לעילוי, נשמת, גדליה, Rabbi Shimon, גדליה. Okay, to try to finish the mimer on Tefillah, Darkecha. Unquestionably, the most painful part of the whole enterprise of davening is the feeling that we often have that the tefillahs are not working. Our way of thinking from the beginning of our lives, from the first time that we were told about davening, is that it's for something, and it's natural for human being to be very much, I guess we would call, result-oriented. And since you're davening for something, and the tefillahs are filled with all kinds of bakashas for very practical, good things in life, so the disappointment is with what appears to be the poor results of a person would make a study of the success rate of his tefillah based upon what he's been davening for. So it often would not be particularly Geraldic in terms of what he's asking for and looking for in life. Well, of course, we were talking about this yesterday in the Avodah that we don't take note of all the brachas that we have in our lives. Because dreidel spinning so quickly, we don't see the letters, we don't see the good things of Gdalya. We don't see the nisim that are with us every minute of our lives. The person davens, and so. And since we think that the tachlis of davening is to be answered, many people feel that what's the tachlis? If a person signs up for baseball, and the tachlis is to get a hit, and his batting average is .000 or .0. Whatever, or 120 or something like that. So, any good friend would put his arm around him and say, "No, I think you should do something else. I don't think baseball is your game." So, if a person feels that in his davening his batting average is very low, even though we all continue to daven because we have to daven, but inside the head and the heart, there's this little thing that turns off, and it's very often at a very young age that it turns off. One of the hardest things that thousands of wonderful, holy Jewish children that are davening that no soldier should get killed. Everybody should come back safely. And then the child comes home from school and he sees his parents are crying that they heard that that the neighbor's son, Elena, didn't come home. So the child was davening for the last month for that next door neighbor's son, that he should be safe. So there's this little thing inside the kid that says, "Is it okay? What am I doing? It didn't work." He doesn't know all of the even the fancy stuff we're going to read now, which is not written here in any fancy way. The child doesn't know anything about that. He just knows that he was told to trust that Hashem is kind, that Hashem is good, and that he listens to our tefillahs, and the guy died. So then it's one of the main reasons for talking in shul. It's one of the main reasons for not going to shul, or barely being able to pick up a siddur. So, of course, to solve that, we'd have to ask Hashem to reveal His presence to us in a very clear way. He says, Shua Gdalya Furkin Kayir Mezeh. Chasis Hashem God B'Olamecha. Chasis Hashem God B'Olamecha. Hashem should reveal His great name in this world. But until that time, and even during that time, we need to understand the following. Page Reish Chav Tes, the end of the page, Reish Hey. Da. Shekedei la'asig es amitas hatfila. In order to be able to acquire the truth of tefillah, to connect to the truth of davening, sarach mesinas. First, there needs to be patience. Mesinas. Dahainu. She is spaled, page Reish Lamed. She is spaled v'yachzer l'spaled. Kaver Hashem, chazak v'yamitzivecha v'kaver Hashem. To daven, to keep on davening. Oid va'oid. Im hano mi etzem avodas hatefillah. With having hana, with connecting to the act of davening itself. In other words, as we mature, to try to become less focused on the results, although we're davening for results. Also, you'd like to see the results in terms of the bakashas, but more focused on who we're speaking to and developing this connection, this relationship, which is really, as we've been learning throughout the Maimer, which is really the tachlis of davening. The ikka tachlis of davening is this relationship, this connection. So as we mature, to become more focused on the relationship, the connection, as opposed to having things turn out with our bakashas the way that they want, the way that we would like to, is the etzem hanos hatefillah. The etzem hanos hatefillah. When we etzem avodas hatefillah, the etzem hiskashus l'Hashem Baruch, which is really the tachlis of davening, is the hiskashus, is the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'sarach lo lechapes is Yeshua. And one has to be careful. Again, it's very hard for a child to hear this, and for adults it's not easy either. That's what we're trying to learn. That one should not see davening or approach davening in a way of looking for the Yeshua. The tachlis is to find the Yeshua. Yad achre shispalo. And though of course there is that hope for a Yeshua, but it's not, as in the child's mind, that the results will be immediate. So one has to be patient. Sometimes it takes a year or two, or 10 or 20, or Yosem is for a lifetime, but not to even see it in one's lifetime. We don't understand these things at all. We don't know how long it would take. For that tefillah to be piled, to be piled in our world, in this world, and it might not be piled in this world. Because everything depends upon different tikkunim that are taking place, that Hashem has with each person. The tikkunim, the amount of tefillahs and the words and the tears, so on, that go into a tefillah. We'll see the notes in afterwards. The person should not become caught up in this, in the results. It's impossible to ignore the hope for anyone for the result, but that's not the tachlis of davening. Even if the person doesn't see that what he's asking for is answered, in a way that he can see, the person has to learn how to have hana from the act of davening itself, and etzem hatefillah, etzem zeh shezoich lahargish es emunah, the tachlis of davening, to be able to feel that connection, that emunah, l'skashem Hashem Baruch. Zo hasiba shaharbi mispalim ve'en maslichim lefal v'nishbar mizeh. And this is the reason why many people daven and they don't see hatzlacha and how they define the hatzlacha, and they become very broken. And the main reason for that is that they're looking for Hatzlacha and Gashmis in a way that's clear, like the child, that it should be, that it should work exactly as I'm davening that it should work. I feel ruchnis, even if it's not something Gashmis, they're expecting results. And they read the story about the great tzaddik and Talmud Chacham that he couldn't learn, and he was davening that he should be able to understand the learning. And he woke up the next morning, and he was like he was an לעילוי, he was a genius, or something like that. All the stories that the kids are reading. So the kid doesn't do well in school, and he's getting poor grades, and he gets a look from his Rabbi, who's not pleased, and his parents are not thrilled. He davens that Hashem should open up his mind and his heart, just like the story you heard about the Nitziv, which I'm sure is not true, and then he should wake up the next morning, like the Kilo the Nitziv was he heard his parents talking, all these stories, and I'm not saying I don't believe that there was an opening, but it's not the way that they tell these things over. And this little boy is davening that tomorrow will come in, and he's going to open up his Gemara, and the words are going to pop out at him, and he's going to understand everything, and he's going to say a Chiddush, and his Rebbe is going to come over and hug him, that he's the next Gdalya, and so on and so forth. So even in Ruchnius, the person is looking for success. That his Tefillah should have a Ruchnius Dekatzlach. He's not asking for. He said, it's okay. I'm not asking to become richer. I'm not asking for whatever. I'm in Ruchnius. I'm asking much. And he certainly heard. It could be that he heard that's when you're davening for the Ruchnius, of course you're going to be answered. So he's davening for Hatzlacha and learning. So that's Ruchnius. And he doesn't see that it's working. Doesn't understand that the ikar of davening is to reach Hashem, not other goals, but to reach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's look at Shin Tzadik Vav, Shin Tzadik Zayin. A person needs to daven a lot. Kol Yimei Chayev. Of course, not only the official tefillahs, but his Avodah as well. All of his life, Kol Davar V'Davar, for everything in life. Afim Nirish Lo His Kabla Tefillah. So even though it seems that his tefillah was not received. Afim Avri Yom V'Shon, even if much time has passed, by Dayin Lonen, and he hasn't been answered in the way that he was hoping. And it seems that the davening was for nothing. All the Svarim teach us that there's no such thing as a davening that doesn't have any effect, that's worthless, that's a waste. And every single word that we say makes a rosham. And each one of us, there's a certain amount of words that we have to say during our lives. And all those words together create a certain binyan that we don't necessarily see what that binyan is, what that world is that we create without tefillahs. It's just the time that we're davening. And all through the years of our lives. More words and more words and more tefillahs and more tefillahs. And the oisias and the words are building a world that's called your world of tefillah. And whatever that's poil in all the olam is not always in the way that we could see in a clear way in this world. But there's that binyan that you have, that after 120, when a person leaves the world, he's shown the building that he built. That's that binyan, that kaima that he built with his tefillahs. In worlds, ways that he couldn't understand, even in ways in this world that he didn't realize, that he didn't know he was building. But all of the oisias and all of the tevas, the letters, the words of the years of davening are mitzdarfos. They join together ligmeres habinyan shitzar to finish this building, to this kaima. Mashlai nearest a Yeshua pile, the Yeshua is not seen. The pile, he doesn't see the result, what he was asking for specifically. Zela Tevasa Hanitzchis. Person Emunah means that he knows that the Tevasa Hanitzchis, that because Hashem knows what tikkun he needs, and as we learned earlier in the Maimer, that could be that this is what he thinks is his tikkun is bechlal not his tikkun. So what he's davening for is not the tikkun that needs to take place in his life, that he needs to finish up. Even when it comes to things in Ruchnius, it might not be the tikkun that his neshama was sent into this world for. So even that little boy was so frustrated because he's davening that he should become great in Gemara, and his heart should open up and his mind should open up to understanding the Gemara. Could very well be that if that would happen, that he would get, even though it's wonderful for him to learn, it would sidetrack him from the tachlis of what he was supposed to be masakin in this world, which could have been to be busy, like with misaskim or atzalon or something, or some other important chesed that Hashem needed him to do in this world, and that wasn't his inyan. He could have gotten sidetracked and to pouring his entire being into something which even though no one could argue that learning is fantastic and that you should learn, but it could be that wasn't his inyan in this world, in this particular gilgul, and that his avodah was something else that would have sidetracked him and from not being focused on what his tikkun is, what he had to be misakin. So all the stories that we have where tzaddikim said, "I know that you daven for that," and you wonder if you're being answered, and the answer was, "No, you're not. That's not your." And essentially, what the tzaddik was saying is that's not your inyan. It's not your inyan. Your inyan is to try your best, and you're not the rugged shavu, you're not the vulnerable guy, and your inyan is to try your hardest, and your tikkun is going to come through being a person that keeps on pushing, even though you don't always get what the Gemara is talking about. And that's how you're building your building, not by writing some svarim and being a magid shiur. It's not your tikkun. So a person has to believe in this davening. The ikkur of davening is to strengthen this emunah that Hashem Yisbarach is listening to the tefillahs. The tefillahs make a reisha, but it might be that, it could very well be that what he thinks is is tevasa. The tevasa is for his benefit, is not for his benefit, and that's why Hashem didn't answer in the way that he wanted. Could very well be l'tevasa hanitzchis, or he hasn't finished the shiur of tefillahs that he needs to daven. There are many reasons why it wouldn't be answered. The fact that this person turns to Hashem, or this child is turning to Hashem and is asking Hashem for help with something, it certainly is causing some sort of Yeshua, but not the Yeshua necessarily the way that he was hoping for. But of course, since we expect things to be answered the way that we want, and many of us are, from the time we were children, we never got over being spoiled and being angry and upset if we don't get what we wanted. And if it's not piled the way that we want it, we walk away from it. No tefillah is worthless. No tefillah is lost. Therefore, one has to continuously daven, to go on davening. And with the belief that first of all, the ikkur is this conversation, this kesher, and that every single tefillah is piled, is building that binyan and making the tikkunim, and only Hashem knows only Hashem knows what's the tevasa hanitzchis. Shin Sadik Zayin. It is very hard for children, in particular, to understand that the tachlis of davening is not get what we asked for. Person really doesn't know what's best for him. But there is something that we know for sure is the right thing. And that's the pnimius. That's what should be the pnimius of all our tefillahs. Is Gilui Kodesh Shamayim Tikun HaShina. Sheteitze Mehester Mehagolas, that finally the Shechina should be able to be revealed. L'sakin Olam Malchus Shindalad Yud Val Gilui Yechudi is Baruch B'chol Olam, that Hashem is one that should be revealed in all worlds. She's Kayim V'Hoya Hashem Melech HaKol Haaretz B'Yom Hahu Hashem Echad L'Shma Echad. That should be Miskayim. That should be revealed. Pnimius Kol HaTfilas Eim Al Ha'inyin Hazeh. The pnimius of all tefillahs is this Inyan. Al Hashem Boim L'Bashim B'Chol Minei Levushim. But the tefillahs and all of our requests are enclosed in all types of coverings and garments. Kol Ma Shechasel Adam Dvar Motzachim. Hasiba Pnimis L'Zahisha Hashchina Mechusa V'Arev B'Smayim. The reason that the world is suffering, that each one of us is suffering and missing so many things that we need, that we feel that we need, that we're looking for, that we want, that the underlying cause of all of the chesroinus in the world is Hester Panim, is this concealment of Hashem's love, this concealment of the Shechina, the light of the Shechina that is hidden. Therefore, when a person is asking for what he needs, or what he perceives as his needs, not to forget that what he's really looking for is that, why do I need this? Why is it that boy wants to be able to learn better? Because he wants, if he would remember and if he would know what that means, because that Hashem's Shechina should be revealed in this world. It's underneath all of our requests. When a person thinks about that and remembers that and pours that into his tefillahs, why do I want to have why is it that I need parnasa? To be ma'abek kved shamayim, to be megal the Shechina, all kinds of good things, and so on. He's gal kved b'poil, mamela yeshef lebrun, and the tachlis is that Hashem should be revealed, and mamela everything, there won't be any chesroinus in our lives. Aish is Aish and Maspal Kodesh Baruch Hu. And as long as we continue to daven, if something to ask, what is the greatest miracle of Chanukah? What's the Iked Neser of Chanukah? What's the answer to that? What do you say is the Iked Neser of Chanukah?
Hashem showing his love to Klal Yisrael.
Hashem is showing his love to Klal Yisrael in such a dark time. Yeah. What would be the classic answers to the question? Finding the oil.
And that it burned for...
it burned for 8 days, and the Nitzachim and the Milchama, all the things that we say, Nalanisa. Right? When you look in the Svarim, none of these. The Ikenes of Chanukah is that Jews who were so zerbrochen and so far and had fallen on to such a low place in their lives didn't stop looking for the oil. That's the greatest nice of Chanukah. But they kept on looking for Kodesh Baruch Hu. They kept on looking for that sign of Hashem's presence in their lives. That's the Ikenes of Chanukah. That was Poil the Nes of Chanukah. That's davening. That's the bikush, looking and the asking. That's the Ikenes of Chanukah. It's a gewaldige understanding of what Chanukah is. That the person, the tev of a person is to walk away. The feeling that the Jews had at that time is a lohalech. The Indian of Yiddishkeit is done, and there's no reason that he would care about us. Of course, you're right. Hashem's love. What are we talking about? That's all. But that was underlying that all of that's true. But the bikush, not to stop. Not to stop looking. That's the meaning of Chanukah. Not to stop looking. It's Kavil Hashem, Chazak Yamatzibach, Kavil Hashem. Chol Aish Zoichem Laspal Kadosh Baruch Hu V'chayzim Ala Bakasha Shuv V'Shuv. And when we're davening, we have the schus to daven, and we repeat the bakashas over and over. Hakol L'Tzarech Tikkun Hashchina. All of this is for the tikkun of the Shechina in this world. La'oyer Rachmei Hashem Yisbarach Lashpia or Otzon. To be Ma'oyer Rachmei Hashem, to be Mashpia, this powerful or Shal Yuchal Lias Pustai, that the light of Hashem should no longer be covered by the klipas. The whole davening, taking chatzos, is vitalus. People, the whole misunderstanding of what the ikar davening of, for instance, when it comes to the Tisha B'Av, the 3 weeks and the 9 days, and Tisha B'Av itself, which is with the keenness and has morphed into different stories, and now they have movies everywhere. The whole Tisha B'Av, all of that, of course, is important. As opposed to when I was a kid, we just sat there with the keenness for a few hours, and there was nothing but feeling to know what this is about. So there are all these different ways of trying to be ma'ira, a misery and a sadness and a certain tzarachenkeit and all of that over the tzaras of Klal Yisrael, which is of course very, very important. But it stops at that, and it doesn't go to the pnimius of the tzaras of Klal Yisrael is the chol tzarosam leitzar, is the tzar of the Shechina. And to know what that means, the tzar of the Shechina. Because in our immature way of thinking, if the person says, listen, if you don't like this stuff, then stop it. If this upsets you, then don't let it happen. And the misunderstanding of all the tikkunim of since the time of Bereshis, what that means and how Hashem's Baruch is developed, and to understand and to learn. But it means tzara Shechina, the tzara of Shechina. Oili miraishi, that Kodesh Baruch was crying. Also, with the ik is the tzara Shechina, and since we were never taught what does it mean, the tzara Shechina. What's the Shechina? The Shechina is upset. Hashem's light is not revealed in this world, so who's telling you not to? Adarabah. If this upsets you so much, then turn on the lights. Why is it so dark? And if you don't like it, then turn on the lights. We can't do that. You could do that. Hashem's Baruch made this world for a reason. Our Avodah and the tikkun of the Shechina, and Kivyochel, he himself has made the Shechina depend upon our Avodah and our tzar, chol tzarosam leitzar. And what that means in the whole Avodah of Tisha B'Av is lost on people. So it's just this swimming in the tzaros. I don't even think about what this coming Tisha B'Av is going to be with all the collections of stories from the kibbutzim and the Tisha B'Av should be a yontiv this year. Should be by that time should be Mashiach. Should be a big yontiv, and Hashem should show us what that was, and it should only be Achtai v'Chesed. It should be the Tisha B'Av that we know. It should be a big Tisha B'Av, big yontiv. But what's the tzar of the Shechina? What's the tzar of the Shechina? It has to do with tikkunim. The ikar is that lo'er rachmei Hashem zal hashpia or otzam shlo yuchal lias mustai, that klipas v'yu kol basa kipi Hashem diber. Kipi Hashem diber, that the whole world should see. Kipi Hashem diber. See the or of the Shechina, the gilui of Kvod Shemayim. And the main thing that the pain that a person feels, even you have so many Jews now, are watching all of these different things, all these horrible things of this past few months, and they feel Sabrach, and just to take that a step further and say, where's the Kavod Shemayim? Oh, this is such a bizoin. My wife showed me, not last night, the night before, you saw these nevelas, these presidents of universities. Did you see this? What they, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These nevelas. These nevelas that Hashem should make that their whole lives they're going to be haunted by what they said, or what they didn't say. Not to die. I don't want them to die. I don't want nothing to happen to people. They should be haunted their whole lives by what they didn't say and what they said. To hear this coming from the mouths of people who are supposed to be educated and enlightened, and are the ones who are creating the environments of study for people who are going to be the leaders of America. They're not taking the leaders of America from Queensborough Community College. You understand that? And I don't mean that as an insult to Queensborough Community College. I'm only saying that because that's what the guys in school that didn't work out so much in high school. They ended up. I'm from Queens, so that's what they ended up on. And I don't mean that as an insult to anybody, but these are the future leaders of America. The whole thing is, but to stop and to think, how could it be that these nevelas, that these mushchasas, they could speak about Jews in such a way, and such a hester upon them, such an unbelievable hester upon them, that Jewish boys and girls are walking around in universities that they're frightened, they're terrified. People are screaming these things, and if there'd be one teacher that would say one bad word about a black person, an African American, that's terrible. I'm not saying that's good, it's terrible, but he would say one bad word, he'd be fired, and in a second he'd be done. And then you have these shiksas, these nevelas that they're sitting around, and one of them says that they say that she's Jewish. She's not even Jewish, but they're sitting there and they're saying things that, well, what's the context? And did you hear these diburim they were saying?
Yeah. So she was trying to plug into it as she was talking. She was desperately trying to maneuver so she doesn't get fired.
She was repeating the script that her lawyer wrote for her. Yeah. That's all that she was doing. And they were saying the same things over and over and over again. Not like a human being to say the truth, to talk about the truth, to be able to look and to say, I'm sorry, I messed up. It was terrible. What's the context? And she was very good. I don't know who this lady is. There was a lady in the Valdik.
From Staten Island.
Wow. She's upstate somewhere?
Staten Island.
Staten Island? I'm sure all the shuls are inviting her to speak in Yom Kippur. It's not even a question. She's going to be invited. And she's going to be the guest of honor in Chai Lifeline. Not even a question. Right? You know her? Upstate? Stefanik. Yeah, she was Gewaldig. She was Gewaldig. She's saying. So what does it mean in context? This is targeted and then like talk about and something happens to Bepoil. So she said, so they're actually only if you actually carry out genocide, then it's considered to be. They're talking about harassing and bullying. Since when is harassing and bullying does it require that you actually kill the person? No, all the diburim. But I was saying to my wife, Moshe had to let such a thing go on in your world. There's such a hester upon them. Such a thing that can go on. Now, I don't even know how I don't care how I don't know what the New York Times has to say about this or what is to look at this.
It wasn't on their front page.
To look at this, it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't. Look at to see that. Make a chayzik of the Jewish people, of your people. Make chayzik. They take us for idiots. The whole world is taken for idiots. You don't see this. These people are not going to be fired. I don't know. They're not going to be fired.
No, they were trying not to be fired. They have to. They have to run a very fine line. When they are brought up on it's a very sick.
Money's coming from the other side.
The money's coming from the Arabs. There's money coming from the Arabs.
Billions.
Getting tens of billions of
Billions.
From the Arabs. That's why she asked, do you think that Hamas is a terrorist organization? So to be able to say those words, that was for them. That was a very, very, very dangerous thing for them to say. But they had no choice because they were put into a corner. How can you say at that point, no, they're not terrorists?
Every newspaper
So it's the whole
refers
thing.
to them as militants.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I the Rishonim, the Nazis, the Hamasnikas, I understand that. They're cheshbon. I understand their cheshbon. They're saying Yisrael, and they want to kill every Jew in the world. I understand that. I'm talking about sitting here in the United States of America, and that these are the presidents of very prestigious universities, and to look at them that they can't, that they're not. These are, I'm sure that they're intelligent people, although probably they didn't get their jobs because of that. You already see that Dafka women and Dafka has to be like this and that. All kinds of games that are going on. Who these people are and how they made president of the university. I don't know what their credentials are, but I'm sure they're very bright people. They're talking like idiots. It wasn't about stupidity. It wasn't about stupidity. It was about what you're saying: fear of losing their jobs and a nice sprinkling of Sinas Yisrael. Yeah. So they didn't.
They all said exactly the same thing. So
they were all prepped.
exactly.
It was all scripted, and they didn't know what to do, and they couldn't get off the script. They didn't know what to do, and it looked like total morons. But the bizoyant, that the world could be such a world, and that would come to such a point that we read about, and we heard about how the universities in Germany and in Austria before the war, and now we understand. We understand what it is, that we never understand. How could it be? Very intelligent, bright people. The Germans are not Hamas. The Germans were very sophisticated, educated people. And how could it be such a thing? The shurish of Sinas Yisrael and the Hester upon him in the world. That's what it is. And to feel, and to be able for us to feel the Hester upon him and to cry over such a thing that these Jewish boys and girls that they're locking themselves in their rooms and they can't, and it's like a normal thing. It's a normal thing in 2023. It's something which is hard to believe. Hard to believe. You see with our eyes. Let's finish. Yadua Ma'ashom Chazal. Shadav Namalach Bikesh Ma'Hashem Yisbarach Shamiris Tehillim Techshuva Be'einav Yisbarach K'mayish Oiskim in the Goyim V'Oilus. We know that David HaMelech asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he finished up his Tehillim, he asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu that these Kapitlich Tehillim should be Choshev in Hashem's eyes, like when we're learning the most difficult parts of Torah, which is Negoim and Oilus, the very, very hard Masechtas, that it should be considered like we're learning these most difficult Masechtas. There's a lot of things that are written about this, why Dafka and Negoim and Oilus, which you understand that dealing with all kinds of horrible things about the Goyim and the Oilus, the Tumas Mace, and so on. That David HaMelech Dafka wanted that the Tehillim should be considered chashuv like that. David HaMelech was asking that the same way that when you're learning these Mishnayos and the Goyim and Oilus, or Kol Seder Taharis, and not just in the Goyim and Oilus, but all the Seder of Taharis, the Mishnayos of Taharis, the Tikkun Gdalya Pagam HaYesod, which according to the Svarim Kodeshim, these limudim, learning Seder Taharis and Mishnayos, is a huge tikkun for Pagam HaBris, for the Midah of Yosef and Tzaddik. And learning Davka Taharis, all Mishnayos, of course, is a tikkun, especially the Seder of Taharis. Tikkun Gdalya Pagam HaYesod, which is Taharis, as it says in the note, Taharis is the sixth Seder of Mishnayos, and 6 is the midah of Yesod, the 6th sphere, which is Yesod, which is Yosef and Tzaddik, and the Avoda of Tikkun HaBris. So that's Lavkin Taharis. When you learn Seder Taharis, so it brings a person to a tremendous cleansing, a tremendous tikkun when it comes to midah of Yesod. K'maychein Amiras Tehillim, so too, saying Tehillim, Amiras Tehillim, He Tikkun God of a Nifla, Kol HaPagam HaKash. When we say Tehillim, whether you understand, you don't understand, saying Tehillim is a tremendous tikkun in the world of Taharis, especially, with all things, but especially in the world of Kedushas HaBris, Tikkun HaBris. It's a tremendous, tremendous tikkun. V'nei Lamaisa, Leimer Sefer Tehillim, Sholem. To be able to, for a person to say the complete Sefer of Tehillim, the whole Tehillim, Zu Avodah Gdala Mari. It's a very big Avodah to finish the whole Tehillim. Lav kol adam zeichel lekach. It doesn't mean over the course of your lifetime. Lav kol adam zeichel lekach. You know, it's very, very hard. It's very hard. Our father said that his mother, my grandmother, would finish every Monday and Thursday. She fasted, and she said the whole Tehillim. Every Monday and Thursday, except for Chodesh or it was a Yantiv, every single Monday and Thursday of my grandmother's life, she fasted the entire day. She said the whole Sefer Tehillim. A nice Jewish woman. There's a way the Jews lived. The Tehillim, especially our mothers, the way that they lived. They didn't have it broken down into different little booklets, you know, which is a nice thing. Little booklets that they didn't have back, you know, in Ungvar a Tehillim chat. You say one word, they divide it among, you know, 825,262 women. Each one says one word, Ashrei. And they say the Yiratzin before and the Yiratzin after for saying Ashrei. The next one says Aish. He said to him, hey guys, we finished Tehillim tonight, you know. To be facetious, but all kinds of kuntum that we have, you know. But the world would be different. We still had just old-fashioned stuff. So to say the whole Sefer Tehillim, it's a big avodah. It's a big avodah. The lav called him zeichel lekach. You know that in Chabad, every Shabbos Mevarchim in the morning, they say, the Chabad gets together, they say the whole Sefer Tehillim. Not dividing it into different psukim or kapitlach. They say the whole Sefer Tehillim. The tikkunim is that the tzaddikim made. I think that goes to the Fidig Rebbe. I'm not sure. I think the Fidig Rebbe started that. It's an avodah. It's a big avodah to say the whole Sefer Tehillim. I always tell the Chasanim and the Kalas when I talk to them that try if you can during the week if you can. It's a very busy week before. Especially with the girls, with the dresses and the hair and the makeup and all this stuff. That before the chasna, try that week of the chasna, because they said they always ask something like, what's the best way to prepare? I said, just try to finish the whole Tehillim before the chasna. On the day of the chasna, try to say as much Tehillim as you can. Then have a hasag of what kind of a tahara that it brings and how it prepares the chasna kala to go into the chuppah. But certainly everybody could say every day a few kabbalah tehillim. Certainly a person who's zeicha to say in once, you know, to sit down and to spend the time to say the whole Sefer Tehillim. And it's the sweetest thing in the world. There's no masikus like that. Wherever you are in the world, but especially, you know, if you find a nice spot by the kaisel, you know, and you're able to sit down someplace and to sit down with the tillim, and you left your phone someplace else, and you're not busy with anything, and you just sit down and you say the whole Sefer Tehillim. There's no masikas, not to wait to get to the kaisel, I'm saying. You should all be there soon. Mm-hmm. But there's no bigger masikas than that. And to sit and on your own with the Tehillim. Daven is going to be Aish. Mamtik Melo Veskola Dinim. It brings the Hamtak of all the Dinim. It sweetens all of the Dinim. Come up, come Gamma Miras Ma'at Tehillim. It doesn't have to be the whole Sefer Tehillim. Even to say a little bit of Tehillim. It's gewaldig. All of the difficulties we have, whenever it comes to things of Kedusha, the root is the same thing. Because we're always looking for perfection. You think it has to be the whole Sefer Tehillim. Just like everything else, it has to be just like this. It has to be perfect. It has to be. This is the underlying shirish of our difficulty when it comes to Dvarim Shebekdusha. But the truth is that the Baruch Shalom is thrilled, kivyachol, with the little bit that we try. Each person tries. Whatever it is, even a few kapilach tilim or a kapilach tilim the person is able to say. That's also a gewaldige thing. Shin Sadik Tes. It's good if a person gets into the habit of saying Tehillim every day according to how it's divided by the month. That in every Tehillim it says, goes, you have the days of the week is divided, Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, has the days of the month. And it's a tremendous thing if a person could try to be connected to Tehillim every day of his life, and by saying the Tehillim for that day of the month. It's not so much. To say Tehillim for that day of the month, it's a very big thing. So a person can make a siyum. Everybody's like siyums these days. A person can make a siyum and say for Tehillim every month. You can make a siyum. That's not hard. You don't have to have a chat. You don't have to give it. Don't have to divide it up among the whole 5 towns. You say every single month you can finish the whole Sefer Tehillim. It's not hard. It's Darkecha. Every month to finish Sefer Tehillim. And this will be very helpful because you're never going to forget, because that's your life. Your life is every day you have that Seder of Tehillim, and you have a mahalach of how to divide it up, and you know that you have to finish by that month. You have to finish, and you divide it by the days and so on, and you're able to finish the whole Sefer Tehillim, and it doesn't come out to be. Doesn't take more than every day 15 minutes. It doesn't take more than 15 minutes, depending on how long you save it. It doesn't take more than a few minutes every day. It's not so hard. And it's good to have a set time when you do it. All things in Kedusha, it's much better if you have a certain time and you set aside that time of the day. That you have, this is the time that you say your kapitluch. And another amazing thing that happens with that is that you'll always find all kinds of, if you say the Tehillim and you understand what you're saying, you'll always find in the Tehillim that you're saying that day and that time, always eights of things that you needed that day. Always. You always see that it's talking about that day. It's one of the amazing things that Avodah Melech was part. You'll always see yourself in that Indian, the kapitluch that you're saying that day. That'll help you to remember. Tough. Besides the kedusha, the greatness of Tehillim, when you're a Tehillim Zuger, when you're a person that lives with Tehillim, you become somebody that's a Bal B'tachin. You become somebody that your life becomes a life of depending on Hashem, of B'tachin. You become a Shara B'tachin person when you live with Tehillim. Ze'ikah derech lifal Yeshua say there mirrors Tehillim. And it's the Ikah way to be part of all kinds of amazing Yeshua, something you see, something you don't see, but to be part of Yeshua's with Tehillim. Kim levad etzam atfilah should have, besides the tefillahs in them. You become a David HaMelech person. By saying Tehillim a lot, all through your life, you become a person that's filled with the oimitz, with the courage of David HaMelech, with the love of David HaMelech. You become a David HaMelech when you become one of his chassidim, one of his people. There are Jews who are chassidim of David HaMelech. The Karach we talking about Hashem Yisbarach Messiah, Limshach Yeshua. And when you become a person of David HaMelech, then you mail it all kinds of Yeshuas, because you become a person with a much stronger big bitachon. The next part we're going to learn in the Sefer is bitachon, next week. You become a person that's a David HaMelech person. Most powerful Tehillim that we say with bitachon. Even if a person goes to doctors and uses medicine and so on, but he should be very, very careful to remember. It's not up to the doctors. It's all Gzeir from Shemayim. But Hashem wants that his shofar should be enclosed and should be concealed and covered in ways of teva through the doctors. To remember though that teva is nothing. So lavush is a covering for the mashpia amiti. And therefore the real ehrliche doctors. There was a famous doctor in Shalom, Dr. Valach, a famous doctor, one who really was started Shari Tzedek, was a tzaddik, and it says in the Svarim that in the books about that he used to, every time that he would go to operate the procedure, he would say a Kapil Tilm together with the patient. He would say together. It wasn't that just the patient was saying that the doctor would say Kapil Tilm. And there are doctors now that do such a thing too, that is to be more over the person with tefillas and to daven together, and to remember that who's the Borei Refuos, Adon HaNeflois, Hashem is the Borei Refuos. So we should be zeichet to see it's Chanukah's Shosa Nisim Lavos and Avim Ha'Hevus Manazeh. We should be zeichet to see Nisim Neflois, Adon HaNeflois, and Gula Shleim Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.